We all know about the Kings division record coming.
And that's the black and white.
I think it is for sure.
And welcome to Overtime, brought to you by KingsCast at www.kingscast.net. I'm Keith Kordelik.
And I'm Chris Kalziewski.
And welcome back, Kings fans. Here we are, back again on the roof from the Stape. Chris, it's another episode about Kings hockey.
That's right, Kings fans. We're back here to talk about the San Jose game, talk about St. Louis, talk about the game that took place tonight at Staples Center against the Boston Bruins, and we'll also give our top 10 list for things more obscure than the Kings winning the division.
Not to mention Colin Fraser, which brings up our show title, episode 148, entitled Colin Fraser for Masterton.
All right, Kings fans, so coming down here at the end of the season already, it's kind of hard to believe, but it's crunch time now. The Western Conference is super tight. Kings coming into the game against the San Jose Sharks, one of those teams that we thought it would come down to the wire, but now it seems like it's more like these teams, are just trying to make the playoffs at this point. It's not even about the division.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Pacific Division especially, it's tighter than an You know what I'm saying, Kings fans. And, coming in with the San Jose Sharks, it's a team that I thought would probably win the Pacific, Chris, with the Kings a distant second. You know what I mean? Everybody else was kind of BS. And lo and behold, I mean, we got a dogfight going on with the exception of Anaheim. And San Jose really kind of on the downfall a little bit, haven't been able to put it together. Trade deadline deals kind of bust at this point. And coming to the Staples Center, what an exciting game.
Yeah, this is one of the best games all season. We've been saying this almost every week now lately because it's like the first 5 months of the season were just horrendous. We're talking about 1-goal games, 1-0, 2-1. It's like the Kings have been exploding with goals. Second in the league since the trade deadline, scoring 3.4 goals a game or something crazy like that.
Can we pause that, Chris? Can you say that one more time for Kings fans?
The Kings second since the trade deadline in scoring.
In scoring?
They were 30th for the entire season. So, yes, I will take that. But that game, especially, playing, I think at that time, biggest game of the season. Team that was, the Kings were in 9th, San Jose was in 10th, trying to solidify the division and the Western Conference playoff standings. And the Kings just exploded again with goals and balanced scoring again with Penner with a goal, Martinez, Richards with the shorty. It's been fantastic to watch. It's been fun to go to the Kings games again.
Thank God, it's about time. Just in time for me to renew, which I need to do, in 2 hours or so from now.
Definitely.
It was great to see the Kings do that. Coming in St. Louis, top of the Western Conference, top of the league, really. And, I think we match up well, Chris, against St. Louis. But, being at the top and us, sort of riding the pine, it was not looking too good. And, it was a low-scoring game. By that I mean there was no score at the end of the third, but that probably the most exciting no-scoring 3 periods I've seen for the Kings all season.
Yeah, you kind of get worried at first because you're thinking, so we're back to the old thing again where the Kings aren't scoring at all. But this was like a tight defensive battle. It's been like this against St. Louis all year long. I mean, we're talking about a team that only had 19 regulation losses up until then, which is insane because they have 40-plus wins. But the Kings were able to pull it off in the shootout. In the shootout, we've been a little iffy.
Yes.
And Quick was able to step it up like he did last year and give up no goals. And the Philadelphia duo, Richards and Carter, made it happen with the exact same shootout goal, which I will take. I don't care. But that was a huge win against the leading President's Trophy team. So
Dry Island makes it work. I mean, you gotta love that, and definitely another good showing by the Kings, who at that point were 10-3 with Jeff Carter in the lineup. More importantly, with the subtraction of Jack Johnson. So I'm loving what I'm seeing from the Kings, and I hate doing shows like this, Chris, where the Kings have been hot and we're really excited, and then coming into tonight at Staples Center against the Boston Bruins, a team that, I definitely thought we could beat, but it was going to be kind of iffy, and, we're winning, 6 in a row up until tonight. It would have been 7 if we won tonight. And then we ended up losing, expected, but who's going to win every game, going to the playoffs? What's up, Kings fans? Keith here, and Boston Bruins are in town, Stanley Cup champions, but the Kings 6 in a row. I like our chances. That said, 1-0. Kings in the shootout.
Yeah, going into this game, the Kings have won 6 in a row. I mean, you talk about a team that is winning at the right time. I mean, the Kings, winning 6 in a row at this time, obviously they haven't done that all year. They had 2 4-game winning streaks, and that was it. So to win 6 in a row was a win-win right there, and to pull that game off in a shootout was awesome. But, coming in against the Boston Bruins, the Kings always seem to step up. You know, if it's Columbus Blue Jackets, then they play down to the competition. But you know, I thought they actually played pretty well tonight. The first period was super tight. You know, the Kings were all over it. At one point, the Kings were up on shots 15-4.
Yeah.
Of course, I think the Bruins kind of figured it out at the end and played like a really tough trap game, I thought, and just stopped any incoming puck movers into the offensive zone. But you know, it was a tight game after the first 0-0.
What up, Kings fans? End of the first and tight game. I like how it's going so far. It's a really good team. Lots of scoring chances up until the last 5 minutes, so I'm hoping they pick it up in the second. I'm going to say Kings 3-1 with an empty netter at the end to win the game.
Yeah, it's one of those games where you can't make any errors or the other team is going to capitalize. And sure enough, going to the second period, Kings on the power play. The power play, which has been very hot. I mean, who's talking about firing Jamie Compon now? You know, Drew Doughty, you know, just makes a boneheaded move, you know, gives it up, and, you know, the Bruins score shorty. However, the Kings do answer later by none other than Masterton nominee Colin Fraser.
Yeah, Colin Fraser, kind of an afterthought. You know, we've had a bunch of these guys on the Kings teams in recent years. What names come to mind are like, you know, Marco Sturm, Ethan Morrow. You know, we have this guy, Colin Fraser, who was just really an afterthought with the Ryan Smith trade. Everyone was just fired up about that. Like, oh, we didn't get anything. We basically traded Smith for Fraser straight up. But no, the guy's been, you know, a solid member of the bottom six, and he's been making it happen. I think he scored his first goal in, 50 games or something like that. I think
well, you know, Chris, in all fairness, Colin Fraser was the key member of that deal.
Oh, yeah, he was. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Colin Fraser, and Chris and I were talking, you know, earlier, you know, Colin Fraser, good guy for that fourth line center position. We should probably re-sign him. Then, you know, later on I was thinking on the car ride home, well, John Zeiler made that kind of performance like 5 years ago, and we were signed him to like a 4-year deal. So, I don't know, maybe we pumped the brakes on Colin Fraser, but, you know, definitely a good goal by him. And, you know, the Kings definitely back in it. Going to the third, though, it's going to go south a little bit.
All right, so in the second, and Drew Doughty with a terrible turnover, resulting in a shorty. But Colin Fraser, the guy who should be re-signed, comes back 1-1 Kings. We win in this 4-3 Kings.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, I think the Bruins really figured out the Kings game. They were able to really, like I said, trap them when they were coming to the zone. And luckily, from a nice breakaway in the third, they were able to close it up a little bit. You know, it was 3-1 Bruins. But they closed it up to 3-2 with 5 minutes remaining, so you thought there was a chance. You know, we were planning on when we were going to leave and everything, but the Kings did make it interesting at least. You know,
they pulled the goaltender, Jonathan Quick, and, you know, in the Terry Murray area, Jonathan Quick would have stayed there until the Kings won the face-off and were, you know, safely in the offensive zone, and then pulled Quick. You know, Quick was gone. You know, that's how we do in the Daryl Sutter era. And the Kings made a valiant effort to really try to put the puck in the back of the net. They did not. Boston Bruins win 4-2. And you know what? It was a hard-fought game by the Kings. We've won 6 in a row. Yes, I would have liked 7, but, you know, hey, you can't win them all, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, 7 in a row would be just unheard of. The world might explode or something like that. But, you know, that final goal like makes it look like the game was like a little more, you know, wide open than it was. I mean, it was really a 3-2 game. You know, the Boston Bruins scored with, you know, literally a second left. The puck just kind of trickled in there at the end. But, you know, it was a big game for them. You know, unfortunately, they weren't able to get a point. But like, you look at the other, you were game watching now. You know, you watch Vancouver and Colorado were playing. Last time we saw, you know, Colorado was up 2-0. We obviously want the Avs to lose, you know, and Calgary played Dallas tonight. Dallas won again. So it's like it's really the Kings need help to get to the point. This brings us up to our next topic, you know, which is the playoff push, which is incredibly tight. I mean, you take a look at the standings, and there's really 5 teams, you know, they're in it. You know, Dallas, Calgary, Colorado, Phoenix, and San Jose. I mean, it comes down to this team. So the Kings, you know, they're not going to catch the 4, 5, and 6 seeds. Those guys, you know, Detroit, Nashville, those guys, it's not going to happen. So, like, really, at this point, the Kings are looking at winning the division, or being 7th or 8th, or not making the playoffs. It's super tight at this point, so every game matters. Going on a 4-game road trip, so half the teams we should win against, half the teams, it's going to be tough.
All right, Kings fans, so 6th game in a row. The streak came to an end, lost to the Boston Bruins 4-2. Whatever, got lots of work to do, still 6 or 7 games left. Every game's important. Kings.
All right, Kings fans, so we all know that the Kings have won 1 division title in the last 44 years, and obviously it's pretty pathetic. So it's obviously brought up a lot of issues now that it's sort of, we can sort of taste it. We can taste it. We were in there for like a game or 2 days, I think, that we were in the division lead, which is awesome, but this is going to change daily. So we wanted to bring up you know, our top 10 things that are more obscure than the Kings winning the division.
Division titles the LA Clippers have won.
Arabian Prince from NWA.
That boner character from Growing Pains.
Kings players who have worn the number 98.
People laughing when fans say, "Get off your knees, ref, you're blowing the game."
The series finale of Alf.
Days when Tim Tebow is not mentioned.
Thomas Hickey's NHL highlight reel.
Finally, Kings playoff series wins in the last 17 years. All right, so Kings fans, you know, the LA Press has done it again. They've nominated a Masterton Award nominee. What is the Masterton? It's kind of like the unsung hero. You came back from an injury, and now you're still playing in the NHL, that kind of thing. The Los Angeles Kings nominee, that was by our esteemed colleagues, well, not really colleagues, sort of friends who throw us a bone every now and then, is Colin Fraser. Chris, Colin Fraser, WTF.
Yeah, you know, I think he's got a chance this year. You know, he came back from that leg or foot injury, whatever it was. But he scored a goal tonight, so I think he should automatically win it.
Here's the thing about the Masterton thing. And, you know, I know Dennis Bernstein, one of the people that voted for Colin Fraser. Why? Why? I mean, he's a fourth-line guy. He came back from a foot injury. How many people come back from injuries? To me, the Los Angeles Kings should have no Masterton nominee because really no one's really done anything. If you want to nominate somebody, Anze Kopitar. Here's my nominee for Masterton. Dwight King.
Yeah.
Because who the hell would have thought that skating on the first line with Anze Kopitar last year for like 5 games would result in him to actually be an NHL player?
Yeah. What's up, Kings fans? And we want to plug another T-shirt here. It's that time of season. This, again, is from the Royal Half.
The Royal Half again, Chris. Jesus.
We really, really like the Royal Half. You know, they're one of our good friends.
Yeah.
You know, this is another cool shirt that they sent me. This is the Quick shirt available at theroyalhalf.com. Check it out. And hey, guess what? KingsCast also has T-shirts. You know, if you're on the YouTube page, hit it up over here. If you're on our website, it's more like up here. And if you're on Facebook, I think it's over here. But
it's somewhere.
Yes, but the Royal Half. Check out this shirt. Quick. It's awesome. You know you want it. 10,000 orders coming tomorrow.
All right, Kings fans, so we'll be right back at you, I believe, on Wednesday after the road game. And a big thanks to everyone that, you know, talked about on their blogs, reshared on Facebook, the Siri commercial that we did, again, with, God damn it, the Royal Half.
Yes, I know.
Mr. Half, you know, a big contributor to that. So thank you very much. And thank you to everyone who's viewed KingsCast on our YouTube page. We finally broke 1,000 views with exclusive KingsCast content, not reposting of commercials that was on Fox Sports West or something like that. So thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, we're talking about 100,000 views, not 1,000.
Did I say that?
You said 1,000, but it doesn't matter.
A lot of drinks at
we
Staples
meant
Center.
100,000. Yes, thank you very much, fans.
All right, so there you go. I'm Keith Cornelick.
I'm Chris Calazuz.
Thank you for watching Overtime by KingsCast.